I'm Galina Fendikevich. I lead US go-to-market for Upstage AI. And with me today, I have Mike Rodriguez from Best Option. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me, Galina.
Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. So tell me, why did you choose a unified API model approach versus the best of breed approach solutions?
One, because it's easy to maintain. Upkeep the documentation much easier, so you can scale this application over time. So, for example, when we first started building, we were receiving about 50 applications per day. Now we're receiving about 120 applications per day. And there will be a time where we perceive in the future there could be 1,000 applications per day. So just imagine if you're using the best of breed approach and you have to maintain all these different softwares. Just imagine the documentation and the cost. So Upstage solution was just like a no-brainer, right? Like one API, extreme accuracy, and it was just like a perfect fit for what we were trying to accomplish.
And what advice would you have for other development firms or others using a multi-tool approach?
One, kind of look at your cost, right, and see how that's impacting your bottom line, because all these AI tools have tokens that you need to purchase. So see how much that's costing you, seeing like the scalability of your approach, definitely like, contract an auditor to audit your software. I think that's really important, especially for sustainability and longevity. If you don't want to be a fly-by-night company, that's the advice I have. And then look at software solutions like Upstage, who provide one API, excellent support. Like that's another thing that I love about Upstage is just how responsive the team is, and you guys really demonstrate you care. And I think that's approach that entrepreneurs should take and founders, like just really show your customers you care. Like that makes all the difference in the world, right? It makes the difference between, delivering, something that, just kind of like sticks to the wall, or, something that blooms into a very prosperous business.
We find a lot of the time that customers validate what they want to do with AI with OpenAI, and then once they're serious and they want to scale, they need that high accuracy in these critical industries such as finance, then they look for other solutions and they come across us. But implementing AI is not a plug it in and then hands-off approach. We do care because we want to make sure that it's implemented in the best way possible for your business, that you get all the support that you need. If there are other areas that we can help you out, our technology can be applied to. We want to make sure, again, it makes sense for you and your business and you apply it appropriately, because that's the only way that AI adoption will grow.
Got it. Yeah.
Looking at the rapid pace of change in AI, how do you future-proof the platforms you build against new technologies or shifts in compliance or regulation?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I was talking about this with someone yesterday because we created like this really great tool, and part of it is actually the Upstage. And I'm not talking about the underwriting software. We created a different tool, and I said, wow, this tool is so good that once we start making content, our competitors are going to copy, and they have leverage. They already have millions of dollars, so they'll flood the market with it. So I started to speak with an attorney and stuff, but ultimately the answer was, you just got to keep innovating, right? You got to keep caring. Like I think if you care about what you're doing for people and building relationships with people, I think you don't have to really worry about what other people are doing. I think you can build your customer base and, grow that base because they'll want to do business with you. They'll want to support you, right? Like there's a lot of sodas in the marketplace, right? And why does Coca-Cola stand out, right? Like they really do their market research. They see trends that are happening in the marketplace. The crowd is following. There's like, every day a new restaurant pops up, right? But why is Francis Tavern still around from 1700s, right? Because they've kept up with the times, right? They kept innovating. Now they have, iPad as menus, right? Like they're keeping up with the times. So I think keeping up, right? And just really innovating, right? Paying attention to the marketplace. What do people want? How are people using your tool? And really catering to them. Most of the time you lose to your competition because lack of following up, when you don't follow up, what does that demonstrate? You don't care, right? So they go and give their business to somebody else. And then, just giving it awesome support, like Upstage, right? Upstage gives excellent support. Like every single time we have a question, they answer immediately, right? Or they'll escalate it to the developer if it's a technical question or we need a technical solution. And this is what it really takes, I think, nowadays, because yes, as the AI tools, just kind of become more commoditized and, like they're gonna just be the same at some point, right? What's gonna really matter is, who makes you feel like they care about you the most.
And that was exactly my next question. How much does a partnership matter that adds beyond the technology itself?
I think that is the most essential thing nowadays, right? Because it's, most tools, like, I'll give you an example. Like if you use ChatGPT or Perplexity, right? It's like, you kind of, or Meta, you're gonna kind of get the similar results, right? But like, who's gonna show you they care about you the most, right? Like, what are the practices of this company beyond just the product they're offering? What is the integrity of the people? What do they stand for? And one of the things I love about Upstage is that the people just demonstrate the highest level of integrity. From you and Casey and some of the developers we met. I mean, it just exudes integrity, right through the culture. So, anyway, that's my
And a good example of that is you started using our document parse technology, and then we came out with our info extractor, and we went right back to saying, hey, we understand what you're trying to do, but we think this info extractor is going to be a better solution for you, and it turned out to be a better solution at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. That was a game changer. It just allowed me, like, honestly, it allowed me to take my career to the next level.
That's an incredible story.
It's just the truth. It is.
So what are some other use cases that you've used Upstage for?
Yeah, so one of the things that, I was discussing this earlier, there's legacy software where, they don't integrate with any software. And so it's not like you can just say, hey, I got this old software, let me connect it with a tool like Zapier or NAN and then run it to this other tool, run the data to this other tool, right? You just can't do that because that legacy software just, it was probably built in an old language. It would cost them a whole bunch of money. They have thousands of customers and, they change something in the database, it's gonna affect their whole customer database, right? So you just can't do it, right? So you kind of got to work around that. You got to be a little bit creative. And one of the great things is that Upstage is extremely accurate, right? Just like the extreme accuracy, and that's the most important part here. So I had an idea, right? I said, we keep getting these emails from mcatrack.com. Maybe we could use Upstage to extract the data in that email, then do a search in the CRM, which is, we use Go High Level. Look up the record, and because they're sending us the business name and they're sending us the payment information. So they're telling us that the business has paid 60% of their loan. So we go ahead and we find the name of the business, we extract the email, we get the name of the business, we search, the software automatically searches for it in Go High Level, and then it sends them a customized email. Hey, congratulations, you reached 60% of your loan payment, So that's a way we were able to enhance legacy software without having to do any, expensive expensive custom. Another way we're doing is same company, MCA Track, they send True Advance a report of all the customers that miss payments. So again, we went to Upstage and said, okay, let's extract this report. It's huge because say we have 1,000 customers making daily payments, 20 or 30 will miss payments every day. Report of 20 or 30 will show up where they're missing payments.
Wow.
So we use Upstage, extract that data. Upstage reads if it's like, they have a RO1, RO2, it goes all the way to RO20, whatever their code is, searches for the business in the database, and then it sends them a customized message like, hey, you've missed your payment. It shows that, you stopped your bank account or you didn't have sufficient funds, reply, help if you want us to change the payment date, whatever. And that was like really a game changer for us because it allowed us to get that accurate data in order to enhance our bots so that they're, just kind of taking appropriate action, right? Sending text messages and emails based on correct reporting, which we weren't getting from ChatGPT, because ChatGPT would just give us like ampersigns or cash signs, like just stuff that's not in the report, right? When they did the extraction, because that's just not their specialty. But Upstage did provide that specialty, so.
And that's where this key information extraction is most powerful, no matter what task it is. Within underwriting, especially, there are multiple systems that people have to go through: manual data entry, pull from here, read this, pull from here, put in there. And it's something that AI is just so poised to solve for. You don't need highly specialized folks to do all of this work. So for underwriting, where do you see as the biggest bottleneck for that task?
The biggest bottleneck for underwriting is hands down data extraction. If you don't have the tool that is giving you a 99.99% data extraction, you're gonna have problems. That's the single bottleneck. I mean, seriously, it all starts there. If you don't have proper data extraction, and I'm not saying it because I'm talking Upstage, it's the truth. Like, if you don't have the proper data extraction, you're not going to be able to do the rest of the things. That is the absolute starting point. All the algorithms and the programming come after the data extraction, right? The manipulation of data comes after the data extraction. If you're extracting data with ampersigns and cash signs, your code is not going to function well, right? If you're not taking that data from your bank statements and putting it in clean tables in your MySQL fields, you're gonna have problems, And I know it firsthand because before Upstage, our Patchwork system was giving us a ton of problems.
After the extraction, what do you think is the next intelligence layer that AI would be suited for in this process?
I think the next layer is gonna be real-time feedback based on data using AI. Because, like, for instance, our next phase, once we roll out this software to this level, right? We're gonna do some more integrations. Once we're done with those integrations, our next phase is gonna be messaging, whatever channel, email or SMS or WhatsApp, whatever channel they prefer, regarding their financials. So, like, you'd be surprised, like, how many small business owners would do $30,000 in a month, and then they don't know that, like, an overdraft fee or, not reporting profit on your taxes, right, will keep them in a vicious cycle, right? They won't qualify for funding, like for really high quality funding, which is like a small business administration loan, right? That's like your ideal loan scenario, right? Well, in order to qualify for an SBA loan, you got to at least minimum report $25,000 in profit on your taxes. So you got to pay a minimum tax on $25,000 on your tax returns. Also, they want to see no overdraft fees or, negative days, meaning like, there's sometimes like if you bounce a check and your bank account is like under $100, right? They don't want to see that. So our next layer is going to be just kind of not just underwriting their file and saying, hey, you don't qualify for this, goodbye. It's going to be AI nurturing that merchant, by reading all the data that's been extracted from its bank statement and their application and saying, hey, last month you had this and this and this that affected you from getting financing. If you change, this bill that's coming out on, let's say, the 7th to getting it out on the 11th, you won't pay that overdraft fee. And if you don't have that overdraft fee, guess what? In a month from now or 2 months, you're gonna qualify for some financing, Like these kind of things, it's gonna go from more from just a input-output result to a nurturing kind of, journey with people, I think. I think that's the next layer of AI, actually kind of going on a journey with us. that makes sense.
It does. That sounds like an actually useful application that I hope you will build one day. How do you view the partnership between AI and humans, especially human judgment? Where does one start? Where does one stop? And what role does each play?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
We're figuring out where AI makes sense and where human judgment comes in. So if the AI system does help you qualify for a bank loan, where does someone from the bank branch step in?
Got it, okay. You would still need a human for now. I guess we call it human in the loop, right? That's the term. Because there's certain things, right? Like AI might classify a MCA debit as a recurring transaction, or a recurring transaction as an MCA debit, which then, you know, we'll look at it. I don't think right now we're in a space where like AI can, you know, just kind of take over our jobs. I think you still need a well-qualified human that's really an expert in their field to do the job. But I think these entry-level positions where like, you know, entry-level, you know, human, right, at a startup or a bank or whatever, let's say they were just kind of taking the place of, you know, I think AI can replace them basically. But as far as like decision making, yeah, I mean, if you're going to survive as a business nowadays, right? If you're going to survive, because I feel like we're moving in a new era, and I've been talking a lot to my wife about this. Like, I feel like we're entering a new era in human, you know, just civilization and evolution. It's never going to be the same. Like, it just feels different. Like, if you know what's going on, you know, you're like, holy shit, this is a new era, right? But it brings massive opportunity. But at the same time, if you don't have leverage, right? So if you don't have capital to, let's say you do make the tool and the software and then you don't have capital, right? That's kind of going to be something that's going to set you back. So how do you kind of navigate creating these awesome products, but then kind of like focus, you know, in the marketplace without like a competitor coming in and saying, hey, that's a really nice feature. We're going to add it to our stack and goodbye. You know what I mean? That's, I feel like, where we're at. But like I said, it all comes back to caring. You know, and I think that caring energy is the difference between, you know, you pick one agency over the other, right? Like, it's like, okay, this agency makes me feel like they care, right? Like, they just go extra. Yeah.
It's all in the implementation. If you have two companies with the exact same feature set, they are going to be implemented differently. And as you mentioned, it is that customer service white glove approach. And frankly, we're always open to build with our customers. If there's something in your day-to-day that you see that would be super useful, tell us. We'd be happy to add it into our stack and make it available for you.
Thank you. We will.
All right. Thank you, Mike, for your time.
Appreciate it.